Hi, Vinny.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, and you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for agreeing to be interviewed for the Perfect Child podcast.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of
Happy to be here.
course. So, Vinny is a father of a now 10-year-old son. And from what I gathered when we briefly met online and had a chat, is that you were already, prior to having your son, you were already going through this transformation and like deprogramming from systems and conditioning that you grew up in.
Yeah.
And so then you sort of apply those new nuggets of wisdom to parenthood, and it kind of shifted you as a parent.
Yes. A lot. Yes.
Great. And so that is why I've invited you on to have this conversation. I'm going to start with a brief bio on you, and then we'll
Yeah.
we'll dive in.
Okay.
Vinny Vinicius Isola is a
Yeah.
physicist turned software engineer, dad, and marathoner, and he likes to learn new things and solve hard problems. Did you want to add
Okay.
anything else?
No, that's me. Yes.
Okay, great. All right. So when we met on a Zoom call, it was with Dr. Peter Gray,
Yeah.
and I was intrigued that you had mentioned you were seeing how you were treating your son, and it didn't feel right. And then you discovered the Let Grow Foundation, which Dr. Gray co founded, and it
Yeah.
changed your perspective and parenting style. Can you please share more about that and just sort of the overall deprogramming that you were experiencing and how everything sort of worked together?
Yeah, I think this the programming that you're mentioning is like I was starting to feel like what I learned from society values and general advice from people, just seeing other people. I think a lot of people live this life of like looking at others as like, oh, I had to do this and I had to do that. And you live this, you get um, programmed by these ideas, right? And then not a lot of people spend time thinking about what is, are these right for me? Or is this what I want? Is this bringing, making my life better or not, and I spent a lot of time thinking about that and researching. And this transformation that I went through, I think, gave me the permission to start thinking that maybe not everything is right as is being passed on to me. Is like I think I got to this point where today I think there's no right or wrong. I think you have to find what's important for you and then try to find what can guide you through that path, right? So after I found, before I found Let Grow and started reading more about parenting, I was a very strict dad. And I had this feeling of like, I have to make my son perfect. I had to teach him to be strong, resilient, smart. He has to be ahead of everybody else, all the things that we hear other parents saying. And like, it's not uh, explicitly told to us these kind of knowledge, but it's like it comes to us and then you absorb it and then you start living this life as like it's the correct way, right? And I don't think it's wrong or right. Like I said, I think it's just about what you want for yourself. And I started noticing that it wasn't doing good to me or the relationship that I had with my son, right? I was always very stressed, and I was always screaming at him, and it was very complicated because it was like he was always like sad, and sometimes he cried. It was like very intense, and he wasn't making progress in my feeling. Like he wasn't getting better as I expected him to be, which
Better.
is sad. Yes, better. And then when I saw um, Peter Gray's work, I was like, this is very different from what I hear everywhere else. And I started reading his articles and following his Substack, and I started reading some books. Also, like there's an author that talks a lot about competition and Alfie Kohn is his name,
Uh-huh.
and he has this book called Unconditional Parenting, which is amazing because it's like I think it's a lot of what we do today is conditionally loving our kids. Like if they're nice, we love them more,
Right.
and we think this is kind of like um, a like a motivator for him
Yeah. Right.
to force him the behavior that we want him to have.
Right.
Right.
You can't have love unless you do this.
Yes, and it's complicated because it affects the way people understand self-loving, like self-worth.
Yeah.
Their value starts to be associated with if they're good or not. And
Right.
then it gets complicated because like how do they define good or not? And then it's a lot of like mirroring, like, oh, if I make my father happy or my mom happy, then I'm worth more or
Right.
less, right? And then when you
Right.
go to college is what your is cool is like what your
Professor.
teachers, yeah, professor, and then work, it's what your boss say. There's a lot of like we follow these throughout our lives, and then you never it's hard for you to become happy because like your happiness start depending on what other people's feedback is,
You
right?
don't know
And
what your own happiness is. You don't know what your
yes,
own, you don't know what you want for yourself.
yes, and then Alficon mentioned a lot about extrinsic and intrinsic motivators, which
Yeah.
is like the very important part of all of this. And then when I started thinking about all of that, I started changing the way I talk to my son because I think I was always against like giving him too much praise and extrinsic motivator because I wanted him to find what is good, what makes him happy in general. Um, but it's hard to compete with YouTube and games and all of that, right? Because at the end of the day, it's too easy for them to sit down and watch all day and doing all these things.
Yeah.
Um, so what I wanted to tell him, and I changed the way I was passing the message, is like I have, like, and it's not about making me happy. I will love you unconditionally. Like I love you if whatever you take, right? Like whatever
Right.
you make, whatever you decide to do. Um, it's about you finding what you want, right? And that's what I want to help you find, not like help me make me happy.
Right.
You don't have to do that. That's not what I'm here for,
Hmm.
right? And Peter Gray mentioned a lot about the comparison with the carpenter and the gardener, right? I think the idea that like when you're parenting, like you're thinking about as a carpenter that you're like creating this furniture, right? And like if you fail the first time, the furniture will be broken, and
Hmm.
that's your son broken for the rest
Hmm.
of his life. And it's not like that, right? People are way more resilient than that. They grow, they understand, they learn. And I think the the role of the parenting should be the role of a gardener, right? Like you feed the plant, you water the plant, you give it light, you put it in the right place, but the plant will grow in whatever way it wants to grow, right? You cannot, you can cut here and there, try to guide it, but like it will grow no matter
It will
what.
grow
And
regardless.
yes, and it will grow whatever it wants, whenever it wants, in its
Right.
own time,
Yeah.
as long as it has the resources. And that's a very different mindset, right? Because then it's like what I had to do to my son is not tell him what to be or tell him what to do, is treat him with kindness, treat him with respect as he is a human.
Right.
He has a different, of course, he's 10 years old. He has a different brain
Level.
development,
Right.
right? He's not an adult. He doesn't
Right.
have all the mechanisms that we have. Um, and I think it's important to talk to him about that too, right? Because sometimes I talk to him, I had a conversation with him about like YouTube, for example, watching too much or doing that. And it's like I told him, it's like you just don't have it's hard for me as an adult to police myself, not to
Right.
be there doing all that stuff all the time. And it's harder for you because your brain doesn't have all the mechanism, right? it's even easier for you to get lost into all of these. So I can help you, you know, find the time to do those things, but
Yeah.
also protect your time so that you can do other things that you're interested in. And then, so explaining to him that and giving him the tools to understand that what he's capable of and what he's not capable of, is I think it's the path to make him grow better and like understand himself.
Right.
Because I think we don't learn that anywhere else, right?
We don't. And like you said, social media is so addictive.
Yeah. And there's the part also that is like showing him that I'm also a human and I'm not perfect, right? And I will, scream at him in the moment that I don't know, I was hungry, I was tired, I was something at work. We also lose control sometimes. We're not perfect, and giving him the tool to tell me
Yeah.
that I'm not in the right place, like telling him like you have to tell me when I'm hurting your feelings. You have to tell me when I am
Yes.
overreacting. You have to tell me so that I can understand that what I'm doing also is not in the right place, right? So
Yeah.
maybe
And
I have
giving
to
him
go
the
back.
freedom, giving him the freedom to do so.
Yeah, and understand that he will make mistakes and I make mistakes, and it's
Mhm.
fine to make
Right.
mistakes, right? We grow and we learn, and when he makes mistakes, I will give him feedback. I'll talk to him and help him build the tools. And the same thing when I make mistakes, he will talk to me and help me understand and build the tools that will make me help get better at that point.
Right. And he was I think you mentioned in the Zoom call that he was around 2 or 3 years old when you came to this realization,
Yeah,
right? Is
I
that
think
correct?
yeah, it's um I understood that something wasn't right, right?
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
think this the biggest change started past 2 years, like when he was 7, 8, when I was
Okay.
like, um, I was going through this transformation myself. Um, when he was younger, I spent a lot of time thinking about how to build tools. Like I have a 3D printer, so like things that I've done for him was like when he was learning to read, I my sister is like a Montessori teacher, right? So she talked about a lot of those things, and I was like, well, maybe I could print the letters, 3D print the letters, put it in a bag. So I would do exercises with him, like I put all the letters in a bag and like close your eyes, get the bag, get the letter, and tell me what letter it is. So things that would help him learn faster and make learning more
Fun.
fun, right?
Yeah.
Um, I'm a physicist. I know that learning is hard. Teaching physics to people is something that is a very big challenge today. A lot of people that I talk to hate physics, and it's been a passion of mine teaching in a easier, more pleasurable way. And I think during college, learning to learn was a big deal for me. It
Right.
changed the way that I live my life, right? So
Mhm.
I think we failed that in schools today, and like
Yeah.
I joke all the time with my son, like school is not it's not meant to be fun. You're not supposed to have fun in school. You're supposed to learn.
It's
If
not
you're
fun.
Yeah, if you're having fun, you're not. It's wrong. But it's like now he understands that is like a joke, and like we talk about it, and I talk to him a lot about it, and it's I think communication, right? I think we don't think about kids as humans,
We
as
don't.
like we
Treat them
think.
like humans,
No, we treat them like our properties, and it's
like
like
dogs.
we own them, and we
Right.
have to make them into something. And I think that affects a lot of like these decisions, right? Again, I'm
Right.
not saying right or wrong. I think if every person has to decide by themselves, but
Of
like
course.
depending on your values and what you're looking for, I
Yeah.
think it changes a lot of the way you look at your kids if you change that mindset.
Well, and you mentioned something, really important, which is, when you were very strict and trying to manipulate your child to be a certain way, it was very stressful. And
Yeah.
that's just the thing, right? We don't realize that the way that we are parenting our children, the old paradigm, this authoritarian method, is very stressful because you're
Yes.
trying to manipulate this child that has their own soul. They have their own purpose. And when
Yep.
we step back and we let go of that need to control and you allow your child to blossom, there's less stress
Yep.
because then you can just be curious about what's next to come from this child rather than trying to beat them down with
Exactly.
old paradigms because everything that we know that we're trying to teach our children is already old. We don't know
Right.
what the future holds. So we want to always kind of leave things open. And the best that we can do is to just love them unconditionally so that
Right.
they know they have a soft place to land when they step out into the world.
Exactly. So it decreases the anxiety that they get, right, from the pressures of living. Living is
Yeah,
already hard enough.
right.
We all know that we're doing that for a while. So um, it's teaching them that they have a place, like you said, to land when things go wrong is important, no matter what, right? Like if
Yeah.
I'll be here. It doesn't matter what happens. As I will support you as much as I can,
Yeah.
and I will always love you. It doesn't matter what you decide to do. But this idea that I think Alfie Collin talks a lot about this, which is like you have to figure out if what you're trying to do with your kid is implement control or you're educating him to be himself,
Be
right? Like,
resilient. Let themselves, like, let whatever's in them come out.
yeah, exactly. So, um, that was one of the things that I started thinking a lot in the beginning of this transformation was like when I'm asking him to stop doing something, right? Why
Mhm.
am I asking him to stop doing something? Is it because I want to control him? Is it because it's just annoying me? Is it because
Right?
we do that a
Is
lot,
it
and
programming from something
is it,
else?
yeah, do I want him to comply?
Yeah.
Is it like a power struggle? I'm trying to prove that I have power over him. Um, those thoughts never crossed my mind before. And it's like that makes total sense, right? He's a human. Gain, he's trying to explore. That's
Yeah.
what kids do. They
Right.
explore, they try things because
Yeah.
they don't know better.
Yeah.
So a lot of the things that I used to be angry with were like he never learned. And I never stopped to think that it's easy for me because I've done this before so many times, but he's never seen it before.
Right. Right.
So it's like, oh, wait, you don't know how to do this, right? Like,
Right.
okay, let's stop. Like, simple as hanging a towel. You
Yeah.
take a shower, hang a towel. He throws it over the thing and it's there, right? It's not like stretch the towel because it's gonna dry faster. It's like no one told him that before. He doesn't understand physics. He
Right.
doesn't understand that it's gonna dry faster because it has more surface or anything like that. Doesn't understand the concepts behind, right? So just going into him is like, okay, look, come here. When I tell you hang the towel, what I mean is like do this because of this and this and this, right? Like just teaching him the basic ideas behind why do things in the specific way is very
Right.
different for him, right? And the understanding that he doesn't
Yeah.
know, right?
Or even just like, do you notice, or even having like an experiment where it's like he throws his and you line yours up, and then the next
Yeah,
day you just kind of say, feel your towel. It's
that's a good
still
idea
kind of
too.
wet,
Yeah,
right? And feel my towel. It's dry.
right.
It's kind of like, oh, these kind of like light bulb moments, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
maybe they don't even care that it's kind of damp. They're like, okay, well, I don't care that it's kind of damp. And that's okay too, right?
Yeah,
It's just, it's just like you say, it's taking the pause
yeah,
and wondering why we do what we do.
exactly.
And
Thinking
can we
about it.
break it down into smaller steps?
That they understand and they will make
Yeah.
sense in their head so that they can understand and like, okay, I'll fix this step and then do that step. Like I
Yeah.
started cooking with him, just like I told him, like, I'm not going to ask you to do anything that I understand that you have no capacity to do. Um,
Mm.
but I know you can cut vegetables. So do you want to cut the vegetables? Like, are you comfortable with the knife? Here's the knife. Respect the tool. The tool will hurt you if you don't
Right.
respect the tool. So teaching him the basics is like, okay, now go for it. This is how I cut. Let me show you first. And like I cut here and then cut this way and then this way, just like going through the steps because like if I ask him like cut a zucchini, he's like, I have no idea. I've never seen a zucchini before.
Right.
Which format do you want the pieces to come out? Like there's a lot of things that for us, like we make all these decisions internally because we've seen
Yeah.
in the
We've
past or
done it.
because we don't care about it
Yeah.
or but in his head, every single decision may have a consequence and he doesn't understand what are they and like why he has to go into each direction. Like,
Right.
so making clear is like, okay, I do this, but it's like, oh, the first time he cut pretty off. And it's like we both laugh. It's like, oh, this is a terrible cut. Let's try again. You know, start over. And then even like, I make mistakes too. Like I cut the zucchini. Oh, mine is pretty off too. So let's fix it here. So we can fix this way. So you cut here. So like teaching him the step by step, like you said, give him the the idea, the knowledge
Yeah.
for what is the where the boundaries are, what is why, what consequences each decision
Yes.
have, and like this doesn't have any consequences. So you can do whatever you want on this side, but this one will have consequences. Like you said,
Mm.
do you want to have a shower and get out of the shower and have like a dry towel? I do.
Or a
So,
moldy towel.
or a moldy towel,
Right?
a stinky towel. Yeah, there's all these consequences that he doesn't like they don't understand because they never thought about it and they
They're
don't
not thinking
know.
about that. They because they're so rooted in presence.
Yeah,
They're not thinking about future times.
right.
That's another thing that we do as parents is we set children from the get-go into future times instead of being present. We don't allow them to be present. And when we're present is actually where we find ourselves,
Yes.
right?
And
So
learning from them too is important.
oh, it's so important. That goes to my next question because in your brief bio, you do say that you like to learn new things and solve hard problems, right?
Yes.
So, would you say that parenting basically leads you into learning new things every day? You just kind of like learning from your child? And
Yes,
and is this
definitely.
possibly like a hard curiosity to ponder, right? Like to think about how much you could learn from your child in a day.
Yes, it's very hard. And it's a very hard problem because a lot of it um, we don't understand, like science doesn't understand, right? There's a lot of like, how does the brain develop? Like, we don't have studies to understand all the things yet. We're very far from it. Um, and then there's all the preconceptions that we get from society and things that we learned from our parents and they learned from their parents and it's like, oh, it has to be this way, otherwise it's not going to do it, and then there's like their expectations from society, like you have to send your kids to school, they have to comply, and then all of this, right? And then first the first hardest step is get out of all of that, right?
Get out of the conditioning
Yeah, get out
because
of
we
all the
always have
paradigms.
choice.
Yeah,
Hmm.
get all of the paradigms that you already have inside of you. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, clean them all. Like get rid of all of them.
Yeah.
Which is impossible technically. Like it's in
It's
your brain.
possible. Anything is possible.
Anything is possible, but it's always an exercise to think like I heard people try. It's like think like an alien walked into Earth, and now they're like
What's
they
going
have
on?
no paradigm, right, at
Right.
all. They
Right.
have no prehistory that they learned from us or from their parents or anything. So anything is acceptable, right? Like
Yeah.
that is, I think, the biggest step, and then like treating him as like a human and trying to hear or like actually hear what he's saying, right? His emotions, his wants.
Yeah.
Right? I think one example is like I recently got divorced and we moved. We had two desks, and there was one desk that he used to build things on. Right? It's not like his desk; it wasn't in his room, but it's a desk where he spent most of his time. He did his homework there. He did all his work, and I was like giving away the desk, right? And the first time he came to my new apartment, and it's like I told him like, well, I think I'm gonna buy a new desk, and he's like, why? Like, you go around making all these decisions and like don't ask me about it, like it was very eye-opening because it's like you're right. The
Yep.
desk has history for him,
Yes.
right? That's where he spent a lot of time, and I didn't ask. Like
Right.
to me is the desk that I will
Right.
have to carry, that
Right.
I will have to find somewhere to put in. Like, there's a lot of things that goes into my head that are completely different that goes into his head.
Right.
Um, so I told him, like, I am very happy that you told me that because it opens my eyes to a different perspective. Like I haven't been asking you
Right.
about all the things that I've been making a lot of decisions, and like I haven't asked you about it, right? So I ended up bringing the desk, and
Oh.
it's here. So like just like trying to make space for him to be able to make these decisions
Yeah.
is important, right? Like listening, like
So
what do you want?
important.
I think there's the educating is hard because they learn a lot more from our examples
Yes, from modeling
than
than
from,
anything we could ever say.
yes. Like you can
Hmm.
tell him the same thing 1,000 times, right? He will not absorb it if you're doing something different, right?
Right. Right.
um I've been, part of the shift that I've been going through is like all like changing the way I eat, changing the way I exercise, changing all the things that I do in my life,
Yeah.
thinking about health more deeply, my body and everything else. And like how do I reflect that to him, right? So for example, um I try to cook things that have more vegetables, right?
Yeah.
But he doesn't like vegetables. So like
Mm.
I've been trying to figure out, like, I mean, I know him. I've been with him. I know him since he was
Right.
born.
Right.
I know his taste. I
Yeah.
know what he likes.
Yeah.
So the first few weeks that I cooked something with vegetables, it was focused on the taste that he had. It's like, okay, these are vegetables. They are here. You taste it. And I picked the vegetables that I know you're not gonna despise, right? Like it's
Right.
not gonna be
Right. You're not
terrible.
gonna hate. Right.
Yes, it's not going to be, terrible for you.
Yeah.
So I need you to try, right? And then like cook, put it on the table, let him try, and they're like, okay, he likes it. And he just like exploring more what he likes, and like, okay, now that I know he likes this, and like he's like, accept this, so I can cook this kind of vegetable with this kind of food.
Right.
Um, Trying to understand how to fit those um, in a way that it also fits with my new lifestyle. And then it's like
Yeah.
he's asked like I want a dessert, right? And like I haven't been buying sweets because I'm trying to not eat sweets,
Right.
uh, too much sugar. So I've been replacing the sweets with berries like
Yeah.
blueberries, blackberries, or
Right.
um, raspberries. Like he loves raspberry. I never thought like because like it's a different type of taste. But
Right.
he tried it and he's like, I love it. So now like desserts now it's like changing to more berries,
Yeah.
more other kind of fruits, right? So it's a
Sweeteners.
yeah, it's like it's still sweet. It has the sugar, but it's balanced because it has fiber and it's like the nature way of giving us the
Yeah.
treats and the desserts. So I think it's more this kind of like you said, the modeling, right? Like this is
Yes.
something that I'm doing to me, and I'm telling
Right.
him why I'm doing this. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
sugar, I don't like sugar because sugar is bad. It does this and that to your body. And he's like, really? He's like, yes. So like, okay, now like you have to make a decision. You can try the berries and eat, or you don't eat, and it's fine, right? Like this is what we have, and it's
Right.
like um, not making such a big deal of like, oh, he needs to have a dessert, he needs to have a sweet because that's what he wants, right? I think I heard Peter Gray say that before. It's like we we are making all the decisions for our kids today. Like we put them in sports, we make them do this, we make them do that, but like don't ask them and don't let them pick what they want to do. And then when they're eating, we let them eat whatever they want, right? And we don't
Mhm.
enforce anything because we're afraid that we're gonna hurt their feelings or anything. It's like the healthy part that we should be helping them with because they don't understand. When they're younger, they're more selfish. They want to when they want they what they want, and they don't care what you think, right? They
They
have
don't
this,
know.
yeah, they don't know, like they have the needs and they just want to
Right.
fulfill their needs. That's
Right.
it, right?
Right.
It's not about being selfish or not. It's like it's more like they have their needs and they want to have that, right? Like it, and they don't care, like if it's good or not for them, right? They don't
Right.
understand, like you said, they're not thinking about the future. They don't have a very good planning and consequence analysis. So,
Right.
um, but as Peter said, is like we take away their power to play, right? We don't let them,
Right.
we take away the time for them to play free and
Right.
understand and learn
Because
from
we
their
fill up their
friends
days. Mm-hmm.
because we fill them the days. And then
Yeah.
when we're trying to help them make the decisions that should matter,
Right. We don't.
we like, okay, I'll buy whatever sweet you want. I'll
Right.
let you eat just the things that you want. Like it's a it's an imbalance, right? It's hard. It's very hard because like
Yeah.
he, I understand as a parent, you get home, you're tired, you don't have the patience. It's like, okay, just do whatever you want and get rid of it, right? It's a lot of pressure on the parent too.
Yeah.
So
And I find like what you're talking about, it seems like there's a lot of thought that goes into the way that you interact with your child, and you do give him freedom. It's sort of like a partnership between you
yes,
two. It's a partnership, and also you want to be careful of what you put in front of him, what you offer him, how you are in front of him, which is really nice because, you know, uh, before I was saying it's less stress when you're not being authoritative. And I think it's more like it's not so stressful to be thoughtful, right?
yes,
Because you know that you're creating this connection, and also you're building new connection relationships so that when your child grows up, he won't have to do as much of the deprogramming, and it will come naturally for him to be respectful to his own child because you are respectful to him.
right, exactly. It's more natural, right?
Yeah.
You build the relationship on openness,
Yes.
communication instead of like protocols and ceremonies that we have in society, right? What is
Right.
told to us.
And
It's like, but why? It's like, I don't know why.
why?
It is
Why
what it
do we do
is.
this? Right.
Yeah. So it's harder for them to understand when there's no why, there's no context.
Yeah.
But if you remove and you don't have the why, it's like, okay, then we won't do this because if it doesn't make sense, like
Right.
just
And
not.
having that openness. Why? Why
Yeah,
can't I do that? I've had to do that too. Think back and be like, yeah, why can't she? You know what? Okay, just go ahead and do it.
just do it.
And it's okay to also come back and be like, oh, okay, well, you can do it.
Yeah,
It feels good to be wrong sometimes,
right.
right? And
Yeah,
show
one
that.
there's an example like I like to eat with my hands and he likes to eat with his hands. Um, I like the feeling, just like
Yeah.
grabbing the food, and I think the sensation is so intense.
Yeah.
And he likes to do that too. But what I've been telling him is like, first, you need to learn to eat with your knife and fork
Just because
because
it's proper.
it's proper. And I think when you're not home, People will expect you to do that. So there's it's harder, even harder to be like this because you also have to teach him the barriers that society will impose, right? It's like you can be like this when you're with me, but when you're
Mm-hmm.
out there, people will expect you to do this and other things,
Right.
right?
Right.
So it's
Right.
like it's not you have to do that because it is what it is, and you have to do that here too because it is what it is. No, it's like here you have the
Yeah.
space,
Yeah.
but when you get out there, remember that people
Yeah.
will expect you to be different. So you have to
Right.
understand where the barriers work, right? So again, like bringing the tools that I talked
Yeah.
about before is like you have to give him the tools to understand why he can do things here. And there's like, and then I told him like, okay, when you learn to eat with your knife and fork, I'll let you eat with your hands at home. But until then,
Right.
like you have to keep trying, just like
Right. Because that
learn
way when he
first.
goes, yeah, when he goes out into the world, he can make the decision of
Yeah,
whether or not he wants to eat with his hands. But
right.
at least he will show up and people won't think he's been raised in a barn.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So in what ways do you feel you've evolved as a human being as a result of your new parenting perspective?
Oh, a lot of ways. Um, I think there's this idea that, respecting different perspectives from yours. Um, I think society is failing today to communicate with each other, right? We can't hear other people's thoughts anymore. Um, and we just like try to listen to a 10-year-old and understanding his opinions and his wants is like an exercise of patience and um, stretching your creativity, your understanding. Um, I think that like we can't talk about politics today. We can talk about sports. Everything is a fight. Everything is like a bipolar. Like you're either this or that. There's like and I've been more and more trying to listen to the other side,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Right.
Um, and not like listen and okay, I let you talk. Now I'm done, right? And turn around and move on.
Right.
It's not like that. I think like listening to the other side, understanding their perspective,
Right.
right? I think the idea of there's no right and wrong.
Right.
Um, there's just like your perspective and there's my perspective, right?
Right.
Um,
Right.
what we say is right or what we say is wrong is always based on a law that either
Right.
the law or
Ourselves.
some ourselves or some religion or some
Hmm.
some book that there's always something that comes with it, right? Like if you eliminated all humans, the universe just is, right? It's
It
there's
just
no
is.
there's
Right.
nothing, there's no
Right.
right, there's no wrong. And I think breaking this barrier of like you have a different perspective,
Hmm.
um, and I know you're not dumb, you're not stupid, you're
Right.
human, you
Right.
have your thoughts
Hmm.
for a reason. Um, just trying to understand why that reason is and um, be more balanced. I think that's the big change, right? The big evolution that I think brought because like if you start with the kids, right? Like then like you can do that with a 10-year-old, you can do that with a 5-year-old, you can do that with any age. Like we don't it's
We
a
don't
very
judge.
yeah, don't like exactly. The non-judgmental part is very important, right? Like
Yes.
you like to do the things that you like to do. It's
Right.
like you have your tastes. You're different. Like I'm
And it's
different.
okay.
Everybody's different, and it's okay, right?
Right.
It's not weird. It's not this. It's not that. It's just
Right.
different, and
Yeah.
just understanding that is, I think, a big step to help the bridge the gap.
Definitely. Oh, definitely. And when you talk about really listening to a child, it's using all of our senses because sometimes their words aren't really what they're feeling, right?
Yes.
Sometimes they will communicate with their actions or with the way that they move their body.
Yeah.
And so to tune into that, it's almost
Yes.
like when you have a child, that's all the work. It's just to tune into the child. Nothing else matters because everything else is just everybody else's illusions.
Right. And I think it goes, like I was saying, we can do that with children, but also, it's something that you have to learn to do with everybody in your life. Like you have to tune in to yourself, understand what you're
First.
feeling,
Mm-hmm.
and then understand what other people are feeling,
Yeah.
and then create this connection, right? Because like if you don't, then like there's there's always this barrier that they're they and they're me. There's like
Right.
they're right. Then when we
Right.
do
We're
that, there's like
othering.
we're othering, and
Mhm.
that breaks everything. Like you cannot live in
Yeah.
peace if you don't break that and create this understanding that there's a person on the other side, just
Yeah.
like you, and they have
Hmm.
needs and they have feelings and all of that, right? And then the kid
Yeah.
is a big is the biggest thing, right? I think connecting to them is more complicated because we've been hardened by life,
Hmm.
right? There's a lot of things that we learn to just like ignore. Like, yeah, people will be sad. I'll tell them what I think, and they'll be sad, and I don't care. Like, it's not like that. It shouldn't be like that, right? It's
Right.
like maybe you have another way of saying what you were going to say, or maybe you don't need to say what you're going to say,
Yep.
there's like you said, going back to the questions, like, do I really need to do this? Do I need to give this information? Do I need to tell this now? Right?
Right.
It's all about that. I think it's building this tuning, right? This connection with yourself and with others is hard, and it's something
Right.
that I learned a lot. You know, it's
Yeah.
important.
And the more that we can exercise it as adults, then we're modeling,
Yeah,
right? We know that's the only way. I mean, we model, all humans learn best through modeling,
yeah,
right? And I think it just goes back to that pause of, yeah, always asking ourselves, what is the purpose of my saying X,
right.
right? What am I trying to achieve? Do I need to say it at all? Half the time is probably no.
Yeah,
Yeah. Thank you, Vinny.
yeah. Oh, thank you. This is very interesting conversation. Very deep. I love these.
Me too. Me too. I love it. And just, I love how much we can learn when we have a desire to tune into our kids and allow them to be who they are,
Yeah,
because it transforms us as human beings as we step out into the world as well.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think we covered everything.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Vinny.
Thank you.
I'll see you on another Zoom call.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.